Hey, third graders, welcome to Math Today. You should have already watched the Brain Pop Junior video on elapsed time. And if you've not done that yet, you need to pause or stop this video and go watch that one first so that you have some schema, some background knowledge on what we're going to talk about. All right, so if you haven't done that, please go do that now. We're going to talk about what elapsed time is. And you'll notice that's in our vocabulary beaver right here. Elapsed time, I can go back to my glossary at the end of my student journal and find elapsed time. Right? It's just like a dictionary. It's going to tell me what that means. So you know from watching the earlier video that elapsed time is the time that passes between the beginning and the end of an activity. So let's say you have soccer practice. You get there at a certain time and you leave at a different time. How much time has elapsed or passed between them, okay? Now, passes. So pass, when I say passed, like that, not the word past as in former time. So no, not that one. How much time has gone by, has passed. So we're going to do some different things today, and then I'm also going to show you how to figure this out using a T-chart during a different lesson. Okay, so we're going to figure out elapsed time in minutes and in hours, and I've got my clock here to help. Okay, if we are starting something, let's just say it's a movie, okay, and it starts at 1 o'clock p.m. Remember, p.m. would be in the afternoon. That's after lunchtime. So let me make 1 o'clock on my analog Annie clock. Okay, there's 1 o'clock, right? The hour hand is pointing directly at the 1. The minute hand is pointing straight up. Okay, if our elapsed time is 2 hours, that means we're going to go 2 hours in the future, right? We're going to add 2 hours to our start time to find our end time. Okay, now remember, 1 hour means you start at the minute and you go around to the exact same minute. That's 1 whole hour. So if I'm going to go 2 hours, right, I'm going to take my minute hand and it's going to go all the way around my clock, right to that same spot 2 times. So here's 1 hour, right? And now my second hour. Right back to the same number of minutes. Right? An hour is 60 minutes, 1 whole circle around the clock. Okay, so if I add 2 hours, now it's no longer 1 o'clock, right? We went to 2 o'clock and 3 o'clock. Those are whole hours. So now our end time is 3 o'clock. And we want to put p.m. Remember, we talked about that, meaning right between 12 o'clock noon and 12 o'clock midnight. That's the p.m., post meridian, past the middle. Now, if it's 4:15 a.m., that's early in the morning, right? That's before anybody wakes up. So let's make 4:15 on my Annie clock. So here's 4 o'clock, and I always start at the hour, and I want to go to 4:15. So 15 minutes past. You know that you can count by 5s on the big numbers. 5, 10, 15. So there's 4:15 a.m. on my clock. Right? My elapsed time, I'm going to add 4 hours. I'm not adding any extra minutes, but I'm just adding 4 whole hours. So that means my clock, my minute hand, needs to stay on that 15 and go all the way around once, okay, twice, 3 times, 4 times. Okay, so remember, we're starting at 15 minutes after. I'm going to go all the way around to 15 minutes after. Okay, there's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours, right? It went from the same spot. It went 4 rotations, revolutions around our clock. So 4 hours, when I take 4:15 a.m. and I add 4 hours. Now I have 8:15. But is it AM or PM? Think about that. If 4 hours pass, it's still AM, right? It's still in the morning time. This is about the time we would be getting ready to get on Zoom. Okay. Now we're going to look at 4:55 PM. Okay. So when I make a time on my clock, I go right to the hour, 4 o'clock, and then I'm going to go 55 minutes past. I know halfway is 30 at the bottom. 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. 4:55. It's almost 5 o'clock, right? That hour hand is almost directly pointing to that 5. Right? We've got 5 more minutes to go until the next hour, until it's going to be 5 o'clock. Right? So if it's 4:55, I'm going to add 18 minutes. Oh my goodness. 18 minutes. That means I have to count 18 ticks. Remember, if you watch that video, you're going to know, right, that each one of these little marks on a clock. This is called the face of the clock. Right? There are numbers between the big numbers that you see here, right? But you hop by ones. So if I need to go 18, I'm going to add, right, 18 because I'm starting at a certain time and I need to find the end time. So I'm going to add because I'm trying to find time. This is in the future. Right, that's the future time. So let's add 18 minutes. Okay. I can count by ones. 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. I went 18 minutes. I added into the future. Okay. Now it's past 5 o'clock, but how many minutes past 5 o'clock? Here's 10 minutes after. 11, 12, 13 minutes after 5 o'clock. 13 minutes after 5 o'clock would be 5:13. Right? It's still going to be PM. Okay. Now, we're going to do a couple more. These, we're moving hours and minutes. So we have to really be thinking. We're going to add hours and minutes. If it's 2:15 a.m., here's my 2 o'clock. 15 minutes after, we also call that quarter after. There's 2:15, right? And it's a.m. That means it's early in the morning. Everybody's sleeping. We're going to add 1 hour and 55 more minutes. Okay, so let's add 1 hour. Remember, when I'm adding an hour, my minute hand needs to go all the way around to the same spot. So if it's 15 minutes after, I need to go 1 whole hour. Okay, now, instead of 2:15, it's 3:15. And now I need to go 55 minutes. Okay, so I can count by fives with my hops. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55 minutes. Okay, so I went 1 whole hour and then 55 minutes out of the next whole hour. So what time is that now? We started at 2:15. Yeah, now it's 4:10. So 10 minutes after 4 o'clock. So now we have 4:10. Okay, is it AM or PM? It's still AM. Okay, it would have to go 12 whole hours for it to change from AM to PM. Look at our last one. Remember, this is our starting time. Our movie starts at 11:55 a.m. The This is how long our movie is. 2 hours and 17 minutes. So we want to know, well, what time is the movie over? Right? So let's look at 11:15 a.m. And make 11 o'clock, or excuse me, 11:55, not 15. I'm going to go 11:55. So here's 11 o'clock. I know this is 11:30, right? 35, 40, 45, 50, 55. So it's 11:55 a.m. Remember what happens when it crosses over the 12 o'clock hour? Those letters change, remember? From either AM to PM or PM to AM, depending. Okay? If it's 11:55 a.m., when that starts to move, it's going to become PM. This is like lunchtime. We want to go 2 hours and 17 minutes. Okay? Sometimes my friends like to do the minutes first. So let's go 17 minutes. I know I can hop by fives. 5, 10, 15. One more is 16. One more is 17. There's my 17 minutes. So I've already done that part. And now I just need to go 2 whole hours. So I have to remember where I am, right? 2 whole hours. So I've got to land on the same spot. Well, this is 10, 11, 12. So I'm going to land on the 12. I'm going to go around once and land on the 12. And I'm going to go around twice and land on the 12-minute mark. Okay, so what time is that now? Think about my hour hand. All right, it's past 2. 2:12. It's 12 minutes after or 12 minutes past 2 o'clock. So 2:12. But remember, we crossed over the lunch hour, the noon time, that 12 o'clock. Right? So it became PM because this only had 5 more minutes. So now it's 2:12 p.m. This is like recess time, right? Just before lunch, kind of still in the morning. Now in the afternoon, it's PM. Okay? So when we start, or are given a start time, and we're given an elapsed time, right? We're just adding to our start time to find our finish, our end. Okay, looking kind of towards the future. This is when you need to know, school starts at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and it gets out 2 hours later. What time am I going to ride the bus home? Okay, or maybe I went to sleep at 2:15 a.m., right? And I've got to get up in 1 hour and 55 minutes. So I need to set my alarm for this time. Okay. The one at the bottom, we're going to skip the middle one for now. Okay. Finding the start time. So now we have the end. We know what time we're ending. Right? But now I need to go backwards. So I'm going to draw our arrow and say we need to go backwards in time. Right, to find the beginning or the start time. So instead of moving what we call clockwise, which is this way around a clock, we're going to go counterclockwise. Counterclockwise is backwards on a clock. That's not the way time works, right? It doesn't go backwards. But when we're trying to find start times, right, we're given the end time, so we're just doing the opposite of what we just did. Okay? So let's solve some of these, and then we're going to save this part for another day. Okay, so if my end time is 4:15 p.m., I'm going to make 4 o'clock. I always like to start like that. And 15 minutes after, that's also quarter after, because remember, we can break that into 4 quarters. 15 minutes is 1/4 or 1/4 of an hour. So if it's 4:15, right, I want to go backwards 3 hours to figure out what time is my start time. Let's say your soccer practice ends at 4:15 and it's going to be 3 hours long, right? You want to know what time it starts. So I have to go backwards 3 hours. Okay, so we're going to say subtract 3 hours. Okay, so let's try that. Remember, 3 whole hours means 3 whole times around our clock. Now remember, my clock automatically moves my hour hand. Right? But you have to remember that every time you go around, that hour hand is going to change. So here's 1 hour behind. Same, I'm landing at the same minute spot. Here's 2 hours behind. Here's my 3 hours behind. Okay, so I have 4:15. I subtract 3 hours. I'm at 1:15. Okay, I didn't cross over the 12 o'clock hour, so my letters are going to stay the same. It's still PM. So from 1:15, 3 hours later, it's going to be 4:15 p.m. Okay. Now I'm going to go to 2:45 p.m. and I'm going to go backwards. I'm going to subtract and take away 15 minutes. Okay. So let's make 2:45. There's 2 o'clock. I'm going to go 45 minutes after. We can also say that's 1:45 the next hour, right? My hour hand is still between my 2 and my 3. It's not quite touching my 3. Okay, so this is my end time, remember? At the end, right? I want to go backwards 15 minutes. I'm going to take 15 minutes away. So let's go backwards 15 minutes. 5, 10, 15 minutes. Think about my hour hand. It's still 2 something. It's right pointing straight down at the bottom, so that's 2:30 p.m. You can check yourself, right, by making this on your clock and adding 15 minutes, and you should end up with this time. Okay, so now these were just hours. This was just minutes. Now we're going to combine them. Okay, we're going to make 11:55 on our clock, 11:55 a.m. Okay, and we're going to go backwards and subtract 2 hours and 35 minutes. So let's make 11:55 on our clock. Okay, here's 11 o'clock. And I want to make 55 minutes later. 15, 30, 45, 50, 55. So there's 11:55. Okay, and I want to go back 2 hours and 35 minutes. Remember, I'm going backwards 2 hours and 35 minutes. You can choose. Do you want to do the hours first or the minutes first? Let's do the minutes. Let's go back 35 minutes, what it says on my chart. 35 minutes backwards. Okay. So here's 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35 minutes. Okay, so I've got that part off my chart, 35 minutes. Now I need to go back 2 hours. So I'm going to look at my minutes. Where are we? We're on the 20-minute mark. And I want to go back 2 whole hours. So I have to got to stop and start here. Okay, or start and stop. So I'm going to go back 1 whole hour to 20 minutes after, 2 whole hours to 20 minutes after. So what time is that on our clock? Your hour hand is shorter. It's between these 2 numbers. So it's still the smaller number. It's 9:20. Okay, 9:20. And it's still AM. We did not cross over the 12 o'clock hour. Okay. 1 more to go, and then we're going to save the last part for another day. 3:42 a.m. So in the morning, really early. 3:42. Here's 3 o'clock. I'm going to go 42 minutes after because it's 3:42. Well, I know this is 30 minutes after. 35, 40, 41, 42. So I've got 3:42 on my clock. Okay, 42 minutes after 3. My chart tells me to go back 1 hour and 20 minutes. Okay, this time let's go back an hour. I know I'm at 42 minutes. I've got to go backwards 1 whole hour. So I'm going to make sure that my minute hand comes back to 42 minutes. Backwards 42 minutes. Or not 42 minutes, sorry, 1 hour. Right back to that same spot on my clock. So there's my 1 whole circle back. So I've gone 1 hour now. I need to go back 20 minutes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm almost there. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So I've gone back 1 whole hour and 20 more minutes. Now, if you look at that clock, think about the hour first. It's between the 2 and the 3, so I know it's still 2 something. Think about my minutes. I know this is a quarter of an hour. There's 15, 20 minutes, 21, 22. So this is 2:22. Okay, we did not cross over the 12 o'clock hour. Okay, so elapsed time is tricky. Right? You aren't going to have a Judy clock or an analog Annie clock like this to use, but you do have the paper one that you can, we talked about how you can cut that out. You can use a paper clip, right? You can count on your hands when you're counting whole hours to go backwards or forwards, right? But you need to remember that when we have an end time and we're trying to find our start time, we're going backwards in time, right? When we have the start time and they give us the elapsed time, right, we're going forward in time. Okay? I expect you to use this sheet, right, this part of your math journal when you're working on homework. It's here to help you, right? There are videos that we share that help you with elapsed time, so make sure, right, you can always go back and watch that Brain Pop Junior video again, okay? The next time we get together, we're going to work on how do we find the time in between, right? They've given me the start time, they've given me the end time, but I have to find out how many hours and minutes that was in between, okay? So we will do that next time.